Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Physician in the Kitchen. I'm your host, Dr. Monique, a plant-based board-certified family physician and founder of the brand Physician in the Kitchen. I help people discover, cook, and eat delicious plant-based foods because my mission is to fix America's health one plate at a time. Today, I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a restaurant-quality tomato bisque at home. A bisque is a nice, thick, creamy, velvety soup that is made with a featured ingredient, typically such as a tomato, and a cream of some sort. So usually it's a heavy cream, but of course, because we are vegan over here or plant-based, we're going to use coconut cream. So this recipe comes together fairly quickly. You can use fresh whole tomatoes if you have, say you have just extra tomatoes, you don't know what to do with them. You can also use canned tomatoes. Here though, we are actually taking the time to roast our tomatoes to bring out those flavors even more. But feel free to skip that step if you're short on time and you really just want to get something on the table. So of course, we're going to learn about the health benefits of tomatoes a little bit later, but in short, spoiler alert, it's good for your whole body. Tomatoes are good for your hair, your skin, your eyes, your heart, and for men, there's even some prostate benefits as well. So before we get to cooking, make sure you click like, hit share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on any of our plant-powered content. And now you can join our Patreon family for some behind-the-scenes tips, tricks, videos, recipes, and more. So be sure to click on the link in the description. Enough talking, let's get to cooking. Today's all-star lineup of ingredients is as follows. Tomatoes, of course, with some celery, carrots, onion, garlic, fresh basil, dried oregano, maple syrup, balsamic vinegar, tomato paste, smoked paprika, coconut milk, vegetable broth or stock, and some olive oil and salt and pepper. Okay, first we are going to roast our tomatoes, onions, and garlic, and that is just to bring out the natural sweetness that's in the onion and the tomato and deepen the flavor. Roasted garlic is my absolute new favorite thing. When you get a chance to roast your garlic before using it in a recipe, thank me later because the flavors are just so deep and it really amps up the level of flavor in your dish. So I'm just gonna spread these around. And if you're wondering why my pan looks like this, all I did was put some water underneath the parchment paper on top of the pan under the parchment paper so that it would stay flat and I'm not trying to press it down while I'm working on it. So, okay, now that that's arranged, we're gonna drizzle it with a little bit of oil and season it with a little bit of kosher salt and some black pepper. And this is going to go into the oven at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes till our onions and tomatoes start to caramelize and the garlic starts to get golden. Now, while our tomatoes and onions and garlic are roasting, we're going to go ahead and work on the rest of our base. So here is where we're going to choose a pot that's going to be big enough to accommodate everything because this is the pot that we're going to mix everything together in. You know I love a one dish pot, so make sure your pot that you choose can accommodate everything that you've got going so far, plus what's in the oven. And you also want to make sure you can pick it up. We're going to be pouring this into a blender, so you want to use a lighter pot. Or if you are using a heavier pot, use your immersion. If you have a handheld immersion blender where you can blend right in the pot, that's fine too. I find that the blender is an easier step to take, so I like to dump everything in there, but do what works for you. So we're going to heat some oil over medium heat. And here's where we're going to go ahead and soften our carrots and celery. And I will tell you a hack that I used. I got one of those little pre-portioned containers that they're good for dipping for like a healthy snack. You can find them in your grocery store and they come pre-packaged with the celery and the carrots and a little dip. I didn't feel like buying a whole bunch of celery and carrots because sometimes it goes to waste. So this was a quick, nice hack to use and just the perfect amount for this recipe. So we're going to go ahead and add our celery and carrots. Just a little bit of salt, a little more. And we're going to saute these for about 5 to 7 minutes to soften them up and again to bring out their natural sweetness and flavor as well. already smells wonderful in my kitchen. The garlic, just from peeling it and working with it, the onion, and now we've got the aromatics from the aromas rather from the celery and carrots. Remember, this is a mirepoix we're making. We've got our celery, our carrots, and of course the onions. So that is the basis for a lot of recipes. So if you want to build flavor fast and in a hurry, and usually with things you have around the house, start with your mirepoix, your carrots, celery, and onion, and then throw in a little garlic, and you're halfway there. All right, so our celery and carrots are softening up nicely. Give this a few more minutes, and then we will be able to add in the tomatoes and all the other ingredients and bring it all together. Remember, it's important that you've cut them all about the same size so that they will cook evenly. And we're going to give this just a few more minutes. They're starting to soften, but they're not quite there yet. So remember, they don't have to be super soft because we're going to be simmering these for at least another 10 to 12 minutes once we put everything together. And then, of course, it's going into the blender. So it's going to be emulsified or pureed, and you won't necessarily see it, but you want to at least start the softening or breaking down process. But it doesn't have to be completely mush because you do have another couple of steps to do here so that those carrots and celery will be just fine. Okay, so our celery and carrots are ready to go. So our tomatoes and onion and garlic are done roasting, and the cool thing about using the parchment paper is it makes transferring it to our pot much easier. Just pick up the sides here and pour that right in. Cleanup is so much easier, and you're not making a mess. So, okay, we're gonna go ahead and add the rest of our ingredients. So we've got our tomato paste, our smoked paprika, the oregano, and our vegetable stock here. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and bring this to a boil. And then we're going to reduce it to a simmer. And then we will add in the rest of our ingredients, blend it up, and it'll be good to go. If you are using dried basil instead of fresh basil, you would add it here with your other spices. I'm using fresh basil, so I'm going to add that at the end because you don't want to cook basil very long, if at all. So, but if you're using your dried basil, this is where you would add it. All right, so as you can see, it's getting ready to come to a boil. So we're going to then cover this, let it simmer for 10 minutes, blend it, and then we'll add in our cream to really make it a bisque, and it'll be time to eat. So one quick note here, you may be wondering, what's the difference between bisque and soup? I'm glad you asked. So as I mentioned earlier, a bisque is a thicker, creamier form of a soup. It usually features one star ingredient. So again, we're using tomatoes. You may have seen lobster bisque on a menu. So that means that the lobster is the main star of that dish. Versus a soup, which is a mixture of various types of ingredients, and you can taste them usually individually. The other difference is too, the thickness. Bisques are usually creamier and thicker, and soups tend to have a little bit more of a watery base to them as well, and can be chunky versus smooth, versus the smoothness of a bisque. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and cover this, let everything get to know each other for about 10 minutes, and then we'll check back in. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. Oh, nice. So it says cook down nicely. Everything has gotten to know each other well. There are no strangers in here. Everyone's family. And now we are going to go ahead and blend this up. But first, I am going to give it a quick taste. See if I need to adjust any seasonings. And yes, I am using a plastic spoon. My mom gave me a bag of plastic cutlery to use when I'm cooking. She said, that way you don't have to use your dishes and clean up as much. So thanks, Mom. So let's give this a taste. Oh, yes. Yes, definitely tastes like tomatoes, which is great. But I'm getting the garlic, the onion as well. And we're actually going to go ahead and add in, once it's blended up, we're going to add in a little bit more flavor with our coconut cream and a little bit of maple syrup to take off a little bit of the acidity from the tomatoes. add a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and then this will be ready to plate and serve. Okay, so you may be asking or wondering what the kitchen gadget junkie is not using her immersion blender. And actually, I'm not. I find that my hand gets actually kind of tired from holding that button. So I'm going to just transfer this into my blender. And I can push a button and be done with it. The key here is always to get everything in the blender without making a big mess. That's why I recommend using a lighter pot, because can get a little heavy when you're trying to transfer using a heavy pot. So, all right, let's go ahead and put this on our base. And let's go ahead and, I'm gonna start off on low. All right, so I did it for a minute. Let's take the top off and see how it looks. Remember, we want creamy, which that definitely looks creamy. So let's get a spoon though and make sure. So that looks like it's getting there. Still got a little texture to it. So we're gonna do it for another minute or so. All right, so I did it on high for another, actually I went about 2 minutes this time. And now we will check our texture, make sure it's nice and velvety like we want. You see that? Beautiful. Don't want any lumps in there, any big lumps. It's nice and velvety looking. And then we're going to put a little cream in there, and that's going to make it even velvetier, if that's a word. Let's transfer this back to our pot and add the coconut milk. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add this back to our pot. You can see that nice velvety looking texture. Let's go ahead and add in our full fat coconut milk, a little bit of balsamic, and a little bit of maple syrup. And we're going to just let this simmer for another 2 minutes or so just to get everything together. You can see how that texture is changing just by me adding in the coconut milk. And again, using full fat here because we want that creaminess. All right, so see how creamy that is? That texture is just perfect. And we're going to remove this from the heat, add in our basil, and then it will be time to serve. So here is where you would want to go ahead and taste to make sure that your seasonings are where you need them. Make sure you don't need any more salt or pepper. And this is perfect. So here is where I'm going to add in my basil. Remember, I told you earlier, if you're using the dried basil, you would add it when we added the other spices. But since I'm using fresh basil, I'm going to just go ahead and I've turned off the heat, and I'm going to tear my basil into my bisque. Now, there is much controversy, or I won't say controversy, but discussion in the culinary world about whether you should cut or tear your basil. And the experts say you should tear versus cut, because when you cut, there apparently is an enzyme that is released that makes your basil brown faster than if you were to just tear it. If you need to cut it though, you would roll it like tobacco leaves and cut it the short-wise, like what we call chiffonading. So they basically have nice ribbon-sized pieces. But I am tearing mine. Plus, I think it just gives it a more rustic look. I like that. And then you can stir that in, because basil is very delicate. You don't cook your basil. Just a little bit added to your pot once you've taken it off the heat is fine, because it will wilt and then you won't get that beautiful aromatic flavor or smell that it's known for. All right, it's time to plate this up and add some croutons and taste it. Doctor's orders. Tomatoes are packed with nutrients and offer numerous health benefits. Here is a breakdown of their health benefits and nutritional value. Rich in antioxidants. Tomatoes are a top source of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that helps reduce oxidative stress and may protect against certain cancers, especially prostate, lung, and stomach. They also contain beta-carotene and other antioxidants, which have anti-inflammatory effects. Supports heart health. Lycopene and potassium help lower blood pressure, improve circulation, and reduce LDL or bad cholesterol, lowering heart disease risk. Fiber in tomatoes helps regulate cholesterol levels. Boosts skin health. Vitamin C and lycopene protect the skin from UV damage and slow down signs of aging. Lycopene has been linked to reduced skin redness and improved elasticity. Aids digestion. High water content, about 95%, and fiber help maintain a healthy digestive system and prevent constipation. However, keep in mind that tomatoes may worsen symptoms of acid reflux disease or heartburn. Strengthens immunity. Vitamin C and folate support immune function and help the body fight infections. Lycopene has immune-boosting properties. Supports eye health. Rich in the antioxidants lutein and zeaxanthin, which help protect the eyes from blue light damage and reduce the risk of macular degeneration, the leading cause of blindness for people over 65 in the United States. Promotes weight loss. Low in calories and high in fiber, making tomatoes a great addition to a weight loss-friendly diet. Natural hydration helps keep you full longer. How to maximize lycopene absorption. Using cooked tomatoes, such as in sauces or soups, releases more lycopene than raw ones. And pair with healthy fats, such as olive oil, avocado, or nuts, to enhance absorption. Nutritional value per 100 grams or 1/2 cup of raw tomatoes is 18 calories, about 4 grams of carbs, 1.2 grams of fiber, and less than 1 gram of protein and fat. They also contain multiple vitamins, including vitamin C, A, K, and folate or vitamin B9, as well as a small amount of potassium. For optimal health, include a variety of tomatoes in your diet. Raw in salads, cooked in sauces, or blended into soups. Wash them thoroughly or choose organic when you can to reduce pesticide exposure. Be sure to stock your pantry with a variety of low-sodium canned tomato formulations, such as whole, paste, sauce, or diced, so that you can use them to easily throw a recipe together. However, people with the following conditions should limit or avoid tomatoes. Allergies to tomatoes, peppers, or eggplant, known as the nightshade family. Gastrointestinal issues such as heartburn, acid reflux, or irritable bowel syndrome. People with kidney stones due to the oxalate content. People with issues with histamine, since tomatoes contain histamine, which plays a role in allergic reactions. People on certain medications such as blood thinners. Be sure to consult with your doctor if you have any of these concerns. All right, everybody, it is time for the taste test, my favorite part of every show. So here I've got it plated up with my fresh basil, some homemade croutons that I threw together. So let's give it a taste. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can describe this. It's creamy, it's velvety, it is a little tangy, tad bit sweet, not much, just the perfect balance. The basil is the perfect accompaniment, a little bit of pepperiness. This is so good. This is like a bowl, a hug in a bowl. This is the perfect thing for a cold winter day. I'm eating it with croutons. You can have sourdough, baguette, or like a grilled cheese, vegan grilled cheese sandwich. There's so many different ways you can have this, or just by itself, because it is that good and that filling. Let me go back in for another taste. Oh yeah, the basil is perfect because we didn't overcook it. So you still get the nice floral notes from the basil that I just personally love. It's one of my favorite herbs. So guys, I hope you try this. If you do, be sure to tag me at Physician in the Kitchen. Let me know what you thought. Don't forget to do all the things. Click like, hit share, because sharing is caring. Subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss it out on any of our future content. Because would you want to miss out on this? Just think, what would your life be like if you missed out on this recipe? And if you really want to go behind the curtain, be sure to join our Patreon family. So I'm excited, guys. This is delicious. Hope you add this to your repertoire. And if you do, again, let me know. So until next time, I'm Dr. Monique, telling you to keep it 100. Plant-based, that is. Eat well.